Hello, how you doing? This is Gardner, and I've been driving around today. Feel pretty good, taking care of business, and I am telling you, I am psyched. Um, I can't wait to get my new kit to help me air graft some of these fruit trees, and it's going to be exciting. So, that being said, I want you to know that um, I'm running out of space for new fruit trees, running out of space. But that still will not get me not to plant more fruit trees. Um, it's it's important for me to decide, number one, what kind of fruit trees am I going to install? Will it be the same as my other apple trees, or will it be different? I think they'll be apple trees. I'm not too keen on cherries. I have enough cherry trees, and I'm thinking about more apple trees. Pears, I mean, I would like to put in another Bartlett, but another Bartlett would be overkill because I have three cherry trees now. One is a Duchess, and the other one is a Bartlett, and another one is a tree called a Delicious, and that came from Stock Brothers. Not saying that you got to go there and shop, but uh, definitely you might want to consider a good company. It's very important to get a good company when you're dealing with fruit trees because sometimes they die. Sometimes they send you trees that are sick. Um, and what I mean by that, they have diseases. And when it does happen, I like the reaction that Stock Brothers has, which is they just turn around and send you another tree. Hello, how you doing? All right. Let's see, late night garden show. The late night garden show. That's got a nice ring to it. Um, but I am definitely interested in more apple trees. So where would I get these apple trees? I said in the beginning that I ordered a kit that will help me air layer some trees. And I know me how I'm going to do it. I'm going to go crazy and I'm going to just put everything in and really um, get things done. So that being said, I can't wait. I'm waiting on the item to come in the mail. But here's what happened. Happy Easter to you too, young man. That's Food Farms Permaculture. Um, and I'm excited because the trees that I'm going to install on my property will be trees that I didn't buy. They will be trees that are air layered. And from like I said, I only have one pink lady tree, and I want more. That means that I'm going to have to air layer from my tree I already own because trees are crazy expensive now. They are. I saw a video today where a gentleman grew an apple tree from apple seeds that he had. And I know that can be done, but what got me was people said a lot of things about uh, about growing from seeds. Some say it can't be done because you don't know what you're getting. Some say they did it and it came out fine. It was a great tasting uh, uh, situation where they recognized that it was going to be a success. But I got to tell you, I'm using air layering because I know it is the exact tree that I have now. So that's why I'm. Good evening. Good evening. All right now. And so that being said, folks, I got to tell you this. I am excited, and when I get excited, I go a little crazy. Uh, I'm going to do air layering on a peach tree called a Hell Haven. I'm going to do some on a Pink Lady apple tree. I'm going to do some on a Granny Smith apple tree. And the reason why I'm doing a Granny Smith because those two cross well. I could also cross it with um, a Fuji or what they call that tree. Um, God, can anyone think of that one apple that's very expensive when you go to the store? It's considered one of the most expensive apples. I just can't think of it right now. Honey Crisp. Honeycrisp. I have enough Honeycrisp apple trees. I have enough of them. I mean, they are growing like crazy. The apple trees on my property uh, are all blooming. Yeah, that's right, Honeycrisp. Thank you. But hey, look, anyone know that there's a new apple out, uh, and in the name is Washington something, but they won't ship it all over the place because of the copyright they got on it. But it's Washington something, and they say, and that's going to take the place. That's going to take the place of the Honeycrisp. Now that I gotta see. But Honeycrisp, I went into the store and I purchased some that taste absolutely incredible at one of the big box super grocery stores, and then I saw some that I bought from a farmer's market that tasted weird, and they kept turning brown as you bit into them. They just kept turning brown. I mean, really turned brown quick. And he said he crossed them with a, oh God, I can't remember. Wait a minute. He crossed them with something. I think I want to say Fuji. I want to say Fuji. I have Honeycrisp growing. Oh my goodness, that's good. That's good. Food Farmers Permaculture. Yeah, that's good. That is good. I got to tell you that that apple was sold at Stock Brothers when I bought it 4 or 5 years ago, and it was bought for, no, wait a minute, I had them tree about 3 or 4 years now, and they're already first they wasn't producing anything. Now they putting on blossoms. First it was one blossom, two blossoms, and then now this year they have more blossoms on them than I can count, or that I took the time out to count. Um, but I got to tell you, it feels good to be in the driver's seat and see that happening on your property. All these blossoms. And I'm telling you, I got one peach tree that's Alberta peach. That peach tree is lit up with blossoms right now. But um, I know that I have Fuji growing is the best for grafting too. The Fuji. Okay. Thanks for that information, Food Farms Permaculture. Thank you. Because I'm definitely got my mind kind of made up for the Pink Lady and the Granny Smith. They're going to be a foot to a foot and a half, maybe 2 foot apart from each other. They're going to grow in the basically same area. They're going to stress each other a little bit because they're going to be fighting for dominance. Now, I want to find out. I think that the one that is more aggressive grower is the I think that's I'll find out. I think it's the Pink Lady, because see, one's going to be closer to the sun, and when I put them in, I'm thinking put the Granny Smith here because it'd be further away from the sun. Excuse me. That way, when the sun hits it, it doesn't leave the other one too far behind. Now, when they grow, because when you clip off the branch that you air layered, it's going to be just a standard tree now. It's not going to be hindered by any kind of what they call it. They call it. Oh my goodness! Hello, how you doing? Somebody lit my name up there real good. I wish I could learn how to do that stuff on the computer. But the thing about it is the trees are growing fine, but these will be standard. Now, when I do that air layering, I did some research and I wanted to find out how long from that point would it take for it to start producing apples. Some say 7 years, some say more. But the rootstock from Stock Brothers, when you buy your trees from them, you don't always know what that rootstock is. You just don't know. They do not have anyone there that has all that information. Okay, 5 years is not bad. Thank you, Food Farms Permaculture. About 5 years. That's not bad. Um, and now and also food follows permaculture. And now, would you agree with me? You just having a conversation here. That sometimes it can be earlier than that, depending on the environment it's in, and also the fact that you're planting these trees closer together. And so when trees are stressed out, okay, thank you. When they're stressed out, they tend to want to survive, so they'll produce as quick as they possibly can. Because the whole name of the game when it comes to plants is survival. And that's why they produce the seeds, which happen to be inside this gel like casing called an apple. And they feed on that. But people that uh, that that grow these plants think that just lottie dottie, just they just want to produce for the fun of it. No, this is a war. This is survival. These plants are doing what they got to do to survive. If you put a vine near your tree, it's amazing how the vine will find that tree, climb up that tree, try to send out all its little shoots so it can encase that tree and keep it away from the sun. It's amazing. And I know because if you look at any of my videos, I was out of my yard for about a year. Excuse me. When I saw my yard after being away from it for 1 year, I almost didn't recognize that yard. Every tree was completely covered with vine, and it was the same vine. These vines were thick around like about like your finger. Some were this thick around. And on the top of the tree, all it did was grow up the tree and encase it so it couldn't get near the sun. Now, I looked at that and I said, wow. I said, that's interesting. Why would another plant do that to a tree? Because if it's running straight, it goes complete. And these vines now are all through my yard. They came in here in the wood chips. That's where they came from. They came in here in the wood chips. I remember the no, excuse me. They came in here in the leaves because I had this company that I did one time. They dropped off some leaves, about 600-700 pounds worth of leaves. And as I was going through them, spreading them out, I found this vine. After I found that vine, I told them, I cannot take any more loads from you. And I said that because I was angry because they knew that they rolled the vine up, and I saw it was rolled up and tied up, and I got rid of it. But before I got rid of it, I saw over here, over there, over here. I saw this vine coming up, and I'd never seen this before on my property. And I said, "Look at this! This is the same vine that was in with those leaves." Didn't figure no big deal. The area it was in, I figured I got to it quick enough. So what I did years go on, I start seeing these vines going up the trees, and I start clipping them back and using a little bit of Roundup on. And when you clip them, immediately while they're still bleeding, you take a paintbrush and you paint that that part that's tied into the ground, the root, and figured I got rid of them. Didn't get rid of them. Following year, they came back. Next year, they came back, and it's stronger and stronger and stronger. So now I have a situation where I have to now monitor everything that deals with those vines. If I happen to see them going up the trees, I got to get to them, clip, 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 get to them, clip, 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 and just keep them down that way. Because I don't see any other way of getting rid of them. The soil on my property is rich and full of life, and the vines love it. The fruit trees love it. They love this yard, and it's a reason why I spent a lot of years constantly dumping in thousands of pounds of wood chips throughout the whole back end of my property, loading it up with wood chips every year, sometimes twice a year. And it would go down and go down and go down and go down. And I had worms everywhere. They was even on top of the ground. But it was a different type of worm. Instead of being the night crawler, it was a worm that moves real fast. He moves real quick. If you try to pick him up, he'll break itself in half. And I said, this acting just like an Alabama, some type of worm, Alabama jumper, I think is what they call them. But it moves around like a snake, is how the worm moves. And it's almost close to the size as a medium-sized night crawler. I've never seen these worms on my property before until I started bringing the wood chips in. But, I was using them for fishing too. I'd stopped going to Walmart and giving them almost $1 a worm. I stopped that. I said, with all these worms on my property, the night crawlers, the red wigglers, and I put some of the worms on there. So my deal when I go fishing, if I got 6 worms left in the container, I'll dump them out on the compost pile and come back and they went into the compost pile. That was just leaves. And the thing about it was the compost was rich and full of life. And I had worms in there after they had been in my compost pile and they've been reproducing and whatever. And they were some in there so big. And I kid you not, when you digging through the pile with the fork and you see one of them, you wonder, whoa, is that a snake or what? You looking at it because that's how big it is. And you say, wow, I didn't know they get that big. And those are the ones you dumped in there months ago, a year ago. And they're all in that same location. And the night crawlers would be in the lower part of the pile, and the top part of the pile was occupied by the red wigglers. And the red wigglers were definitely the ones I was pouring in there as well. But they stayed at the top. I had lots of those. I have those. I had them everywhere, and they're still on the property. They're still on the property. But I got to tell you, folks, nature is something. Nature is absolutely something incredible. And so with all these worms on my property, and I used to hear people say, on some of the videos, they say, well, I'm gonna go buy a bag of worm poo. And I used to say, wait a minute, compost is worm poo. Because worms crawl all through compost. And then they don't leave the compost to go to the bathroom somewhere else and then come back. Yeah, nature is fantastic. It is. And it's just, when I was getting all this life in my yard, I was using the worms for fishing. I'd go out there and I'd use an old Walmart cup, and a guy would ask me, he said, "Where did you buy those worms from? My goodness, those are big." And I said, "Yeah." I said, "Would you need some?" And he, of course, he liked them, but they were really big where you couldn't really get them on the hook. Uh, they were really big night crawlers, and you'd catch your crappie or crappie. You'd catch your bluegill with them, and sometimes out there in this water, which was fresh water, there was small cats out there about 10 inches long, whatever. And I got to tell you that when you catching, when you live in, when you go fishing and you come back and you got this fresh fish, they're in a bucket, you drive them home, you still kept some in the water, they're alive in a bucket. You go there, you pick you some Swiss chard out of the yard, you get you some fresh garlic out of the yard, some onions out of the yard, um, and you fry your fish. Uh, you are eating everything from outside your door. Everything that you got came from outside your door. Excuse me. And the fish are fresh, can't get any fresher. And then you got corn on your property. And I was just talking to a good friend of mine. I love um, uh, those peaches and cream corn. I love peaches and cream corn. Let me tell you who got me hooked on it. And you do get to know people on these sites. It was a gentleman called the Rebel Gardener. I think his name was the Rebel Gardener. Um, he sent me some seeds, and they were corn, and he sent me some other seeds as well. But when I took the seeds out there and I put them in the yard, and they grew up, and And I looked at the plant. And I said, "Wow, they actually did very well in this environment of Maryland." I said, "Wow." I took a bite of the corn, and I found myself eating the corn right on the property, completely raw. And I said, "Oh my God, I'm eating raw corn." That's how good the corn was. I couldn't stop. Um, and I said, "I got to find out where I can get these seeds at." Found them. They were right there at Lowe's. They were right there at Home Depot. And they're called Peaches and Cream. The seeds are expensive. They don't give you that many when you go and buy them in the little packs. They don't give you that many, but the price is really steep this year. Um, but I got my seeds, but I bought another corn seed from Walmart this year, just called sweet corn. And I'm thinking, man, if I'd have just held out until they brought in some more shipments, I would have got even more of the peaches and cream because I'm gonna try to do a little bit more corn this year. I should do that, but I just want to try it. Okra, I got the burgundy okra, um, and I got those off of corn cob and then plant next season. Wait a minute, but I think isn't peaches and cream some kind of hybrid? That's why I thought you couldn't save the seeds. Because one time I did save the seeds. I saved all the seeds, and I said I can't use these. These are hybrids. Excuse me. Dry the corn cob, then plant next season. Yep, I had a whole bunch of corn cobs.